Welcome to Work from the Inside Out, a podcast that highlights real-life stories, practical strategies, and best practices for transitioning your career from unhappiness and dissatisfaction to fulfillment, meaning, and joy. Now here is your host, career and executive coach, Tammy Guler-Loeb.
Hey everyone, I am really excited to introduce today's guest, Casey Berman. Casey is a strategic advisor, writer, and career transition expert helping professionals align their work with who they truly are. Through his current platform, CaseyBerman.com, he writes about how to escape burnout by discovering your unique genius, the mix of natural strengths, interests, and talents you bring to the world, whether or not they appear on a resume. He's known for his memorable metaphors like how your skills are like Casper the Friendly Ghost, powerful but invisible until the right job or project gives them shape. Casey champions the idea that we don't need to stay in one lane. We can build multidimensional careers that reflect all the ways we create value and find meaning. This work builds on nearly 2 decades of coaching through Leave Law Behind, the nationally recognized program Casey founded to help unhappy attorneys transition out of the legal field and into careers where they thrive. The lessons he has taught lawyers about mindset, self-worth, transferable skills, and permission to evolve are now being extended to anyone ready for change. Whether you're a burned-out lawyer or simply someone at a crossroads, Casey's mission is to help you remember your value and build a life that fits. Please join me in welcoming Casey Berman. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you so much. That was great. Really appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to have you, and thanks for joining us from your home office in Maui, Hawaii.
That's right. I'm in Maui, Hawaii.
That's
Yes.
fantastic. So, Casey, as you know, on Work from the Inside Out, we love to begin at the beginning. Tell us about your formative years and how they may or may not have informed where you are today.
Yeah, no, thank you. Just kudos to you. Love the work you've done. Love the podcast. Just love your mission. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm born and raised in San Francisco. A few years ago, family and I moved to Maui, just a smaller town. And a number of reasons brought us here, but I'm actually going back to San Francisco next week to see my parents and stay in my childhood home. So a lot of deep connections with San Francisco there. And I grew up there. I think I'm a normal kid, normal childhood. Had a younger sister and mom and dad, and enjoyed school, got my good grades, kind of did what I was told. And I think played sports. I was a kid of the 80s. I'm 51 and a half. But I was always told, and growing up, because I like to speak, I was kind of opinionated, and not a mean kid, but, I definitely had my opinions and loved to debate and so on, but you should be a lawyer.
Oh, really?
And I heard that all the time. It wasn't a doctor. It wasn't an engineer. It wasn't any of that. It was, you should be a lawyer. And really it was, why? Well, you talk a lot, even in 4th grade, 5th grade, you talk, you love to debate and all that. And so you just kind of get ingrained, okay, well then that's what I'm going to do. And went to high school, went to college, University of California, Berkeley, and enjoyed it, and a liberal arts major and so on. And then after college, I guess I'll apply to law school, right? Took the LSAT, did okay, and got into law school in the University of California, Hastings College of Law. They changed the name recently, but that's where I went, and hated law school.
Really?
Right? So when I went to law school, really, I didn't like blood. I didn't really know engineering. I wasn't a math guy. This was late 90s. There weren't as many. There are different jobs now, right? Like we have AI prompt engineer now. Back then, there were kind of lawyer, doctor, engineer. Maybe I didn't even know what a management consultant was back then. And you just kind of go. So law school wasn't a fit for me. There was one story. I was in tax class, and I just couldn't get my arms around tax. I understood tax, but it just boggled my mind. And a teacher I wasn't a fit with. And I remember the star student was this older guy. He'd be older. He was like 30, right? So older guy. And I see him in the cafe in the morning before class, and we had a problem set. I'm a liberal arts major. I've never done a problem set before. Can you help me with this? He was really nice, helps me out. And I say, God, you just knocked that out so quick. How did you do that? He's like, well, I should be able to do it. I was a CPA for 10 years before I went to law school. I said, oh my God, I'm in test class with the CPA. So then it just hit me that I hadn't even thought about going to law school. I just did it to make my mom proud because that's what you did, because otherwise I was just going to take a year off and bartend and whatever. And so it hit me, boy, I'm in over my head. Finished middle of my class, graduated. I did get through, but it just wasn't for me. Those 3 years, I'm not going to be a diva. Like, I've learned a lot. It's been great. It's really helped me in my career, which I'll get into. But I mean, back in 1996, I could have gone and been a junior salesperson at a little company called Google or Yahoo. I mean, think of the opportunities I didn't even look at, right? In the Bay Area then. And so that was kind of, I'll pause at law school and we can talk more. But, my formative years, you're just going to be a lawyer. I really didn't think critically about it. I just kind of did it. And that's where I ended up.
So that's really interesting because all these people, it might have been a handful of people, were telling you, you talk a lot, you like to debate, and you should go to law school. And yet when the rubber met the road, you didn't debate with yourself about what you wanted to do. You just went for it.
I just went for it. I just did it. And it was a lazy way to go. It was kind of an easy way. And, the more I think about it, it was not just that I talked a lot. I don't know if I wasn't that guy who talked a lot. So I want to rethink this. It really was, I was interpersonal. I was extroverted. I enjoyed being a part of things. And back then you had Perry Mason reruns, you had LA Law, every generation has their lawyer show, right?
Right.
And the OJ trial happened, and that might as well have been its own TV show. I mean, growing up through that, I was in college when that happened. You're seeing Johnny Cochran in their nice suits, and you're just seeing the talking. Little did I know that being a lawyer has almost no lawyers are in front of TV. So few lawyers are actually telling stories and actually doing it. In many ways, they're just pushing paper back and forth and dealing with regulations, and I can get more into that later. But yeah, I just did it. I didn't really even think critically about it. And this is going back to what someone told me in 5th grade.
Right. So but you realized while you were in the middle of it that this wasn't for you, but you persevered and you finished it anyway. You didn't walk away from it.
I wanted the license. I wanted it. I wanted to finish it. It then became like a challenge for me. But about after my first year, going in almost halfway through, I remember saying, I'm not going to be it. I'm not going to be a lawyer in the traditional sense. I mean, I'll try. I interviewed for jobs, but I'm not. This isn't for me. And I was just seeing students, 23, 24, now you're 25 years old, you're 30 years old, not an undergrad anymore, and just seeing them interview for jobs and seeing them understand the law. Now, there were a lot of people my age, 22-year-olds, who got A's in law school. It's not just an age thing. It just wasn't the right fit for me.
Right.
But I did realize about halfway through, I said, this traditional lawyer gig is not for me. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this isn't for me.
So, but you grinned and bared it, it sounds like.
I grinned and bared it, and what I did, and this is kind of what I advise people, is I interned during the summer at different types of lawyer offices. After my first summer, I went to a solo who had an office near Ghirardelli Square in San Francisco, and I saw what it was like he paid me actually, I saw what it was like to work in a solo practice. Like, God, I mean, I remember him billing every 6 minutes. He's on the phone and his hand.
Oh yeah.
And he's just looking at it, right? I said, I don't want to. I worked at a plaintiff's litigation firm after my second year there. What my job to do was a class action lawsuit, was to go and see a scandal. And I remember CNN at the time had said something about Vietnam veterans, and I had to do the research to see if we could find one person to reach out to them so that they would be the name for the class action lawsuit. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this isn't what I want to do. I worked at the Attorney General's office. I went to all these spots. And at the end of law school, I remember saying, like, I had done my due diligence. I wasn't being that lazy. I was saying, okay, I'm here, I'm stuck. But I tried all of these things and none of them really stuck with me in law school. And I said, this really isn't for me.
So you finished law school and you must have passed the bar and then went on to.
So I finished law school and I failed the bar.
Oh,
You
okay.
finish in May, you graduate in May, you take the bar in July, they give you results in November, twice a year, and then you can take it in February and you get your results in May or something. So I failed the July bar.
Okay.
And I had a job and I was going to do criminal law for a few years, learn trial, all of that, get that courtroom experience, and then move into civil litigation. I had my whole life planned out and I failed a bar. And I'm devastated. Everyone else I know has passed. This is
Really?
This is 2000.
Because a lot of people don't pass.
In California, 60% fail. But everyone I knew, all my friends passed. I was devastated. And I'll never forget one guy at the public defender's office in the East Bay of California, in San Francisco. The top attorney called me into his office and he looked at me and he says, I failed too. Now that was like 30 years before, but that helped me. But I studied. I was like, I am getting this license. I studied. So then what happened is I studied. I took it in February. I took off. I had to quit my job. Winter break, January. Everyone's starting their lives. I'm back studying again. And then I pass it. I take it in February. I ultimately pass it. But as the universe would have it, I just took it. End of February, March. I meet a friend of a friend. He's here. And he introduces me in 2001 to a .com startup. And he says, do you want to join us? We're growing. You want to do business development and in-house counsel? And I said, I don't know what that is, but yeah. So I got a job with this small startup in San Francisco, and ultimately I passed and the bar. But it kind of opened me up to, wait a minute, there's more going on here.
But they wanted you to use your legal background.
They wanted, the good thing is I didn't need to be, ultimately I did get licensed, but I said, I haven't passed yet. I'll find my results in two months. I said, we don't care. We don't need a lawyer necessarily. We need someone to help with agreements. We need responsible. This is what I get to with Leave Law Behind and I get with at CaseyBerman.com is just understanding your unique genius. That's when I really started to understand my unique genius. Casey, we want someone who can speak clearly. We want someone who can connect, do account management. We want someone who can negotiate an agreement so we don't have to bring a lawyer in. And they started listing out all these things. I didn't even know I was good at these things. I said, really? Like, you think I could do this? And they, yes, Casey, we think, why would we hire you if we didn't? I said, okay, all right. So that was really my first introduction. I didn't call it Unique Genius back then, but that was when I really got my first introduction to what I could do well. And ultimately, when you understand what you can do well, that's when you can add value. When you can add value, you can be of service. And when you can do all that, you help people and you get paid this stuff called money.
Yeah. And hopefully you like it too.
And hopefully you enjoy it. That's right. Exactly.
That's the part I always add on to these things when I talk with people. I say, it's great that you're good at something, but don't just choose something because you're good at it. Choose it because you like it.
I was just talking with a coaching client about that. And that's I'm so happy you bring that up. That's exactly it. Like now, there will be some things in a job that you, in a role that you don't like. And okay, you grin and bear it, you get through it. But
Absolutely.
Right. But and I know you're saying this, if 60%, 70%, 80%, whatever that is, can really be in that mix of I enjoy it and I'm good at it, which is possible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's the connection there. That's the combination.
It's the dangerous mix of when I hear someone say, I could do this, I could do that. And you can hear it in their hesitation in their tone that they're just looking at something that they know they're capable of doing.
Right.
They may even be good at it, but it doesn't suit them at all. And that happens. And then people fall into that trap and they're good enough at it and they start making decent money and then they have a hard time walking away.
So I just got off a coaching call before this with the Leave Law Behind member, and we're doing a Google Meet call, sharing screen and so on. And we do a unique genius analysis. We literally, and I can get into the questions. I'll tell everybody how to do it. We got into it. We have all of these traits that he has, and we're going through and we bucket them in the format. And I'm saying, okay, which ones bubble up to you? Which ones do you really like and you enjoy? Well, he enjoyed about a third of the things he was good at. Then what we did is we've listed over like 400 jobs that align with those buckets, align with those traits. Then we pulled over some jobs. I'm just pulling from one Word doc to the next on the screen. and we're really refining that direction.
Right.
And I said, do you like this? Like, does this job say? And he goes, wow. He goes, I would tell you if I didn't like this or if I was just faking it. He goes, and attorney development is a new job out there that law firms have to really nurture attorneys in law firms, like a professional development job for
Sure.
He says, that I love. And we were going through actual job descriptions and just looking at what he says, that I like.
Interesting.
And I said, really, don't tell me what I want to hear. He goes, no. I like this. Just like that, we got our direction as to where his unique genius is a fit for that job.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. But to your
Isn't
point,
that fun?
he was good at it, and to your point, he was good at it and he enjoyed it.
Yeah. And you can tell when something resonates with somebody that way.
Exactly.
So how did things go with the .com? It sounds like you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. And then things just picked up because I got recruited and poached to join another .com.
Oh, wow.
A friend. And he promoted me at a young age to VP of operations and in-house. And there was a lot of drinking at the fire hose there. This is now 2001, 2002, 2005. But I did a ton of software licensing. That's where I did a lot of my legal work. I was licensed then, and he really needed me to negotiate a lot of their software deals. But then I was also VP of operations. So I oversaw pretty much everything besides sales, engineering, and marketing. And it was a phenomenal experience for me. It was my legal experience. It was my entree into business experience. Absolutely loved it until I didn't anymore. And what I realized was the legal stuff, we were growing, the legal stuff was really taking over a lot, which was fine. But this is what you see as a lawyer, just the anxiety of it all. We had an office in England, and I had a whole day's worth of emails coming to me even before I woke up, and negotiating deals at the end of the quarter on New Year's Eve and whenever. And so I asked if I could move into corporate development. I wanted to do something more customer facing. I was really refining my unique genius. What am I good at? And I just, again, not to be a diva here, but this just wasn't the role for me anymore. I didn't want to be behind the scenes. I didn't want to be putting out fires. I didn't want to be in administration. I wanted to be doing deals, facing the customer, and so on. And they wanted me to continue being a lawyer. I was doing a good job, so I was flattered. But I said, I don't want to. And took me a little while. It took me about 9 months or so after that realization. And then I finally gave notice the year I was getting married, not the smartest thing to do, but gave notice and did not have a job lined up, and had some savings and had a home equity line of credit, which didn't even know what it really was. And in 2005, 2004, jumped. I'll never forget, my mom came in and she was worried about me. How could you give up this lawyer job? What are you doing? But she came to my condo. I bought a condo in San Francisco, small apartment back then. And she put a magnet on my refrigerator, which said, "Leap and the net will appear." And I said, if my mom is supportive, and she's supportive, but if she's telling me I'm okay, then I'm okay. So, but yeah, that was back in 04 and 05. And that was my journey on entrepreneurism and finding, new careers.
So you never went back to be an employee anywhere after that?
I did. No. And so this was where I kind of learned the different paths and kind of the lanes. And so I became an employee of, I did operations for a while, but then I got introduced in 06 to management consulting, particularly qualitative research. And there was a small business. There were like 4 or 5 people, and I started as an independent contractor. Think focus groups, interviews, things like that. A lot of that's online now, but even then, back then, we would go travel to Dallas and go do it in person. And so a great company, had a ton of fun learning this. Now I'm at a point where I have a business partner and we have our own qualitative research business that I started a few years ago, but learned just a ton of fantastic skills. And then in parallel with that was blogging a few years later about Leave Law Behind. And so really I was sort of that person of using internet, using working from home, using all of this to really see that you can be more than just one path. I remember Steve Jobs, I think at that time, I forget the exact dates, but he was the head of Apple and Pixar at the same time. Not that I was to that level, but if Wall Street was okay with him running 2 companies at once, like it's okay for us to kind of have a day job and also start that side gig and start that passion project, right? So in 06, 07, 08, that's where that really started for me.
I see. So Leave Law Behind was you started that at the same time that you were doing the management consulting?
It just started blogging and writing on my yeah. It was
Okay.
just a blog. And this is what I advise people: if you have an idea or you have a business idea, just start writing about it, even privately, then I put it on a blog on WordPress, and it was public, but who's going to go check out my blog, right? Who's going to see it?
Right.
Well,
Right.
Google picked it up and people just started. I don't know how it happened in '09, but people started reading. Wall Street Journal, people reached out to me about this. I said, "Are you kidding me?" And then people reached out to me for coaching. And I didn't even know what coaching was at the time. And they said, "I'm an unhappy attorney." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I mean, I get it." But I just was kind of chronicling my path out. I was actually rereading some of those blog posts, and they were from 2012, 2013, and they're okay. I'm a little embarrassed by them, but hey, you got to get out and start. But I just started writing, and people kind of found me. So
I love that. I think that sometimes, and not sometimes, too many times, people will overthink things and stop themselves from doing something.
that's right.
And it sounds like something either occurred to you to do and you did it, or an opportunity showed up and you stepped into it, open to learning.
Open to learning. I'm overthinking a number of things right now that I should just start on. So I'm guilty of that. But yeah, back then 2010, 2011, I just said, I'm just going to start writing this and click publish, and what could happen. And then it just started growing. But I was learning and just continuing to do. And so I was at this qualitative research company for a number of years. I jumped to another tech company, I think from 2012 to 2015, and did communications and government relations, and just really enjoyed that, tapped into some other muscles and skills that I hadn't. And then I went back to the qualitative research company. They had this really special project that I was excited about. So I returned to that company for a number of years, joined a bigger consulting firm in 18, 19 through COVID. And then, I had never really worked for a company that big that was global. So that was something that I was really interested in doing, and was able to kind of start some qualitative research and strategy research there. And then in 22 or so, that's where I really branched out on my own, and these side gigs became the gig.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you make that decision?
So my wife had breast cancer in 2018, and I left the company I was working at. I had to take time off, and the project had kind of run its course, and I just needed to take time off to be with her. And we had to go to Mayo Clinic and travel, and we had young kids and so on. So, and then, we caught it early, so she was fine, but we had, and fine still, but definitely, the mortality and all the stress, and,
sure,
all those thoughts run through
absolutely.
your head for 2 years, right?
Stop you in your tracks. Life moment, more than a life moment.
Exactly. And so then once she got back on track and was healthy and we returned home, I needed a job. And so I started looking and reconnecting with people, and started off at this Slalom, this bigger consulting firm, in their San Francisco office, and loved it. And it was great. And then around 2022, at the same time, had an opportunity to start our own consulting with qualitative research with a former colleague of mine, which was coinciding with my family just at a point saying, San Francisco's great, but we need to change. So at the same time in 2022 of us picking up, leaving, moving to Maui, kind of blank slate, I left my consulting job and started my own business with my current business partner. Not with Leave All Separate. Leave All Behind was still running, but created that. And so, yeah, it was 2022 was a bit of a crazy year for me, and a lot of unknowns and what ifs. But you just, how do I say it? There's just I remember there was a moment where if I was going to give notice based on, and I didn't have some other stuff completely lined up. I didn't have it in writing yet, and I remember thinking it's too good to pass up, and it's going to come. And it will come in writing, and I'm just going to do this. So there were definitely some leap in the net will appear type things, and the net did appear, and it did happen. And so I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, there definitely were pit in the stomach moments. But it reminds me of that saying, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And that's what really got me through it, was the fact that I have a pit in my stomach is a sign that this is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I mean, I think, leap and the net will appear. And if the net doesn't appear, then you have to learn to fly.
Leap and the net will appear. But when you leap like that, you just don't you want to plan as a planned leap. You've got some money,
Right.
you even have a debt you can pull on, and debt can be good. It can also be bad, but it's that type of thing. So,
Right.
you definitely want that support to be able to leap. But yeah, you have, sometimes you just have to do that.
You have to be tolerant. You have to be tolerant of some risk.
Yeah.
Right. Or you have to allow yourself. And as you mentioned, earlier in your career, you did the home equity loan, which is different than taking a different kind of loan, because you're kind of borrowing from yourself.
That's right.
And so it's, it's a measured risk in that way.
It's a measured risk. And I've said all along, plan it. Don't be, I've been very responsible with money. I haven't, it's not like I took a home equity line and bought a motorcycle or anything. Right.
Right.
But when you do that, when you need to do it, I'm investing in myself.
That's right.
I mean, we borrowed some money to move here. Like, I'll just be honest. We had to finance this to get it going, but it was the best money I borrowed. And so just thinking through whether it's a life or a professional change. So hope I didn't confuse you too much, but had the job, started the consulting firm, and then leave law behind, kind of always there developing that business. So I've had kind of at times 3, sometimes even 4 parallel tracks, which keeps me busy, keeps me, curious. But nowadays, with the technology and the ability, anyone can really do this.
Well, I would say anyone probably, but you really have to believe in yourself. You have to also, you have to believe in yourself. You have to want to do that.
That's right. That's right.
People are better off sticking with one area of focus. Other people love the variety.
That's true.
The variety. I'm curious about Leave Law Behind, because you shared a little earlier that it started with the blogging, and then it picked up and people got in touch with you and asked you about coaching. And, it's kind of like you next thing you knew, you were coaching people.
Right.
Right. And so it's grown over time. And I know that you've have a new offering through Leave Law Behind that I think people might find very interesting.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. It's it's a 10-year overnight success type thing, right? Like, it blew up. It blew up over 2 or 3 years there, and then it would go down and up and so on. So it's definitely been that entrepreneurial path. But I just, to your point about believing and loving it, I mean, I feel like part of my mission here on earth is to help unhappy attorneys. And now people have asked me, hey, can you do this for non-attorneys? So I'm doing this also just for professionals in general now, but helping professionals, helping unhappy attorneys to really find that role and that career path that, like we talked about, that they enjoy and that they're good at. I always say the world needs good attorneys. It needs people who enjoy it. But for the people who aren't happy, the world needs them doing something else. And not to get too dramatic here, but if you think of a bunch of unused energy just kind of moping around, how does that help the collective, right?
You're preaching to the choir here, for sure. I mean, this is exactly what I'm doing as well.
Exactly. So started writing, blogging. People came to me 2012, 2013. Will you coach me? I had to work out my pricing. And then my business partner, Adam Millett, who was a Florida attorney for many years, and he and his wife lived near Asheville, North Carolina. He contacted me out of the blue. We kept in touch, and then we decided to start working together. And we then took our one-to-one coaching and put it online, created an online platform, online course, self-paced and directed, with us coming in to help. And so we've been doing that we have various, for whatever budget you have, for however you like to learn. We've got a number of ways to help. And then just this week, we're launching our own ChatGPT. We're launching our own virtual coach. Now, before anyone rolls their eyes and says, oh God, what is this sort of thing? We have been amazed by it. And really what we did is we have taken our collective 30 years of coaching, everything we've written, transcripts of coaching calls, you name it, all of this, and all of this data, and plugged it into our coach. And it's fantastic. We're having people using it, and it's essentially like they have us in their ear from the privacy of their phone, from the privacy of their home. And they can literally just ask, I'm feeling really down. I have this one fear about if I were to leave the law, what would I do about the return on investment of all the work I put,
Yeah, that's a great
And
question.
we have a fantastically detailed, empathetic answer that comes out the other end that they can then
Wow.
continue to drive on. So super excited about it. It enables us to scale, enables us to automate. It's great for the business. But also what's great is we realize that some people don't want to see my mug. They don't want to be on a call with me. They don't want to do a phone call with me. Hey, let's just get on a call. No, they don't. They want to do this on their own. And so we really created this because there's a lot of embarrassment, there's shame, there's all of this when it comes to a job, particularly for attorneys. So we really created this tool, and we're over the moon about it. We're continuing to test it, but that's something that we're really excited about.
And is that something that you're offering for a fee, or you're offering it as a pilot right now, or how is that working?
So it's free on our website. Part of it is free, that a lot of people, when they're looking to join the program, if they've got a number of questions, a huge amount of, we literally are giving away a huge amount of our coaching intellectual property experience for free. They literally can opt in at leavelawbehind.com. We have it there for them. And as long as they have a ChatGPT account, even a free one, they can use it. And then once people, if there's anyone who wants to purchase our coaching and work with us, that coach continues with more data and more coaching for them when they're kind of on the other side.
I see.
But we have a free version that has a ton of information,
Yeah.
So,
well, it's a great way to get people engaged.
That's right.
Too. I would imagine that it's I find a lot of people think they can do all this on their own in terms of figuring out what's next and getting through some of those rough patches. And then they realize, oh, I'm not getting as far along with this as I thought.
That's right.
And that's when they might reach out for more help, right?
Exactly.
But I think this is a great next step for a lot of people who, want to explore a few of those questions individually. That's a fabulous, fabulous resource.
Thank you.
And they can find that by going to leavelawbehind.com.
Leavelawbehind.com. And with this success, I also want to launch it at CaseyBerman.com, a similar one down the road. But leavelawbehind.com right now is a great place to go to, is the place to go if they want to access this and test it out.
Wow. That is amazing. And is there anything else that we didn't touch on today that we need to touch on, Casey? Because it seems like we've done quite a whirlwind through your career here.
I took you through it all. Hopefully it was helpful. I would just say that, the unique genius portion has been, if I were to leave anything, the unique genius portion has been instrumental for me, and it's extremely instrumental for people who are going through the leave law behind or their career change process. And I just want to share hopefully this is actionable, but the way that you do this is, if you're a sports fan like I am, it's like your scouting report. How good are you? How do you add value? What are your skills and strengths? And so there's strength finders, and there's all these, and those are great. But I really just wanted a simple, organic, authentic way to do this. And here are the 3 questions. Listeners can take pen and paper down. But one is ask people. So let me talk about that. Some people don't like to ask people this. If there's that frat bro, a guy who's shallow, who you're embarrassed, don't ask him, right? I'm sure he's old enough now where he'll be honored to have you ask him. But if there are people that you feel uncomfortable with too woo-woo, don't ask. But find 3, 5, 7 people and ask them these questions. 1, compliment me. What do I do well?
Right.
2, what advice do you come to me for, besides legal advice or accounting advice or whatever it is?
Sure.
And 3, what have I done or what do I do for free? And you're going to you do the IKEA tables, you plan the parties, you're great at the barbecue, but you're also going to you're diplomatic, you listen well, you're the life of the party, you're a schmoozer, you think big ideas. You're going to get all of these skills and strengths that you're really good at. Well, that's what you're good at. And companies are looking for that. So then what you do is you organize them, and we have it at Leave Law Behind. You can organize it by, interpersonal or schmoozer connector or risk compliance and adult in the room. We have some 11 buckets that we have. You can bucket them that
that's
way.
great.
And then based on where these traits fall into, there
Yeah.
are jobs that align with those buckets.
Oh, wow.
So if you were kind of the adult in the room, looking at risk, well, COO, Chief Administration Officer, business process. If you like to connect the dots and geek out on contingencies, business process outsourcing or things like that. So that's how we do it real quickly. Hopefully that's helpful for everyone. But that's an exercise where you can really, really just immediately understand what you're good at. And then to your point about Casper the Friendly Ghost, a job is literally just, if you think of the ghost, a ghost is invisible, and you throw a sheet over it to kind of give it form. Well, your skills and strengths are, for the most part, invisible. We see the results of them, but detail-oriented, our five senses have trouble. You can't taste it. You can't really see it.
Right.
Well, a job is literally just a sheet that gives form to your invisible skills and strengths. So I'll stop
Love
there,
that.
but I wanted to just get that tip out to everybody, and hopefully that's helpful.
Actually, I think that's excellent. And I think, I'm going to still ask you my final question.
Yeah.
Even though I think you already answered it, but I'm going to milk you for one more answer, Casey. So, we've given people a lot of information here that they can work with, which is really generous. Thank you. If you had to give somebody one key piece of information, of advice, I should say, they're thinking about what's next, what would be the one thing you'd say?
So the unique genius part, definitely go through that exercise.
Yeah.
And we have a ton of free information at Leave Law Behind. I write about it, Casey Berman. So if you need a refresher on that, come check it out. There's a ton of free. But the other thing I would say, and this is what I was guilty of, is do it your own way. And there are so many hacks, and here's how to do it, and here's how Gary Vaynerchuk, or here's what Elon Musk does. And sure, that's good guidance. But I can't tell you how many times I did an email marketing campaign that was just like that guy's who got $1 million and mine crickets.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, I'm doing it just like Mr. Marketer over there. Why is it not working for him? Well, I don't know why, but it didn't. And so I really, really encourage everyone, and you mentioned this early on in the talk, the self-worth, the connection. If you have a lack of self-worth, if you don't like who you are, if you have that self-doubt, I totally get it. We all do. Overcome it and work on that, or even move forward despite that, but do it in your way, which may incorporate other people's. But it's really about finding that path that works for you and that's authentic and feels good for you.
And that is exactly what Work from the Inside Out is all about.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to say, Casey, thank you so, so much for sharing your story and all of your experiences. And I'm going to encourage people to check out CaseyBerman.com, LeaveLawBehind.com. The resources there are tremendous. And I think people will know how to reach out to you if they want more help.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I love the work that you're doing here, and I'm honored to be on the podcast. So thanks for having me.
Thanks for sticking around to the end of my interview with Casey Berman. What is your key takeaway from our conversation? If you are interested in any of the resources mentioned in today's podcast, you can find them in the show notes on my website at tammygoularloeb.com/podcast. Just look for episode 283. And while you're there, you can also subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes. Did you know that ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts can help this podcast reach more people and help them move their careers in meaningful directions? Just click on the Apple Podcasts button on the website. Thank you so much. Just leave an honest rating and brief review. Are you anticipating your next professional move? Check out my award-winning book, Work from the Inside Out. Break through 9 common obstacles and design a career that fulfills you. It's available through my website, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores, or through your local library. You can also help sustain this podcast by buying me a cup of coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TammyGL. Since this podcast is self-funded, your support is acknowledged and appreciated. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, it's never too late or too impossible to increase your sense of fulfillment and satisfaction in your work and other meaningful activities. Let me know how it's going for you. I'd love to hear from you. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Work from the Inside Out podcast. For more information, you can find us at www.workfromtheinsideout.com.